Welcome! During this video, we're going to show you how to implement functional communication training. Let's take a look at the performance monitoring tool we're going to use to monitor our technicians' performance. Starting from the top, we have a section for basic session information. On the next line, we've included a section to help us remember what the technician is targeting during the session. Now, let's look at each item on the monitoring tool. These 3 items should occur before the technician starts the session. Once the session has started, it's no longer necessary to take data on these items, so we've blocked them off for the following trials. Item 1 is correct if the technician fills out the required sections of their datasheet before starting. This step is essential so that the data can be found easily when it's time to graph it. Item 2 is correct if the technician has all necessary materials ready before starting the session. If the technician is missing any materials, they will not be able to carry out the procedure properly. Item 3 is correct if the technician provides access to the reinforcer for 1 minute before starting the session. This is to ensure that the client is motivated to ask for the item. Moving down. Item 4 is correct if the technician initiates the session by removing or blocking access to the reinforcer. This creates the opportunity for the client to request. Immediately after removing or blocking access, the technician should prompt or withhold a prompt according to the prompt fading plan. I've put in a summary of the prompt fading plan to help us keep track. In short, the technician should deliver a fully echoic prompt until the client successfully requests the reinforcer twice in a row. Next, they should deliver a partial echoic prompt until the client successfully requests the reinforcer twice in a row. If the client doesn't request correctly, the technician should go back to a full echoic prompt. Finally, they should allow up to 5 seconds for the client to independently request the reinforcer. If the client doesn't request correctly, the technician should move back to a partial echoic prompt. After step 5, if the client engages in either an incorrect response, no response, or problem behavior, the technician should not deliver any praise or allow the client access to the reinforcer. If the client engaged in no response, the technician should wait up to 5 seconds to allow the client a few seconds to respond. If the client engaged in problem behavior, the technician should wait 5 seconds before moving on to the next trial. Item 7 is broken down into 3 components. The first component is correct if the behavior technician provides praise and the reinforcer within 3 seconds of the client engaging in the request. The second component of item 7 is collecting data within 5 seconds of delivering the reinforcer. When you're managing problem behavior, it could be difficult to collect data after every single trial, but it must be done at a minimum after delivering the reinforcer when the client is engaged. And finally, the third component of item 7 is correct if the technician allowed access to the reinforcer for at least 20 seconds. Going over a few seconds is okay, but you should never remove the item early because we want to make sure to provide enough of the reinforcer to keep our client motivated. Moving down. The score for each trial is marked as correct if the technician completed each step of that trial correctly. If they completed any steps incorrectly, the whole trial is scored as incorrect. To determine the percentage of trials correct, we should divide the total trials completed correctly by the total number of trials in that session. And the last session of the performance monitoring tool is a few lines to provide some descriptive feedback that may not be reflected in the raw score, such as great job collecting data after each trial, or excellent speed when delivering the reinforcer.